Wait a second. Sorry. Okay, hey, welcome to Build.well.being 2026 Soccer Edition. That's it. We're super happy to have you all here. Very warm welcome to the audience here in the room, and I mean it literally. And also, of course, to the people on the live stream over YouTube, ranging from here, St. Pölten, Austria, to San Francisco, as I heard. People from all over. You can see it on the live stream, but we definitely have a really, really hot audience here. So you can see temperatures ranging up until 36 degrees in the shade, I heard today. So thank you for still coming up to this event, I would say. My name is Jacob Doppler, and I'm still your most favorite and affordable host for this Build.well.being. So you see that the first one's definitely depending on the second one. So if I mean it affordable, then I mean it. We have a lot of upgrades and updates, or as you might call it nowadays, vibe coding agents running wild. First question that you must ask yourself is, why Soccer Edition, right? You see, and this is now point for point, so maybe you can give me an applause for every very good joke that I make now. So first one is, our supreme leader said that the term American football is already reservated, so we can't use it anymore. And pitch. You get it? And I have another mic. Okay, then we have speakers defending or attacking their field of expertise. Thank you so much. So we'll see them later. Applause. And last but not least, we have a keynote which is live from the US, directly from the field, maybe in the middle of some very important game between Curaçao or Cape Verde or something like this. We don't know, but we will see. Which brings us to the topic of this year's event. It's assistants and agents in digital health. You see, I hope you see our ambition in actually squeezing every single buzzword that we could find into one title, which is called Assistants and Agents in Digital Health. That's what the nowadays modern events do. But rest assured, we try to live up to that expectation, specifically in the end when we have our panel discussion where we talk about caring AI. And much more also with our keynote that is really live coming from San Francisco. You'll see in a minute. We have Klaus Müller. Klaus Müller is a Viennese entrepreneur, and he calls himself serial tech entrepreneur who founded Gentis and 123 Sonography, so pretty much experienced it in the realms of digital healthcare. And he currently wants to talk today about Victory AI. What is Victory AI? An AI-powered platform for elite athletes that enable programmatic coaching by analyzing their performance, their recovery, and their nutrition data with wearables in order to automate personalized training programs. So Without further ado, Klaus, I hope you can hear us. This is Houston calling St. Pölten calling Houston. Major Klaus, can you hear us? He seems to be live. Very good. Okay. Yeah, then the stage is yours, I would say.
Good. Thank you very much. Good morning, St. Pölten. It's right now 4 a.m. in the morning. And once I got the invitation, I thought, well, it's not a perfect timing to do such a keynote, but I'm more than happy to give this insight from Victory AI. Greetings from the World Cup here. The spirit is great here in the US. And we call it football here, so because we sort of invented it, we do not always have to follow the American rules. I have a special relationship to St. Pölten because my son actually studied there. My younger son, Philip, is now 26 years old, and he's working at the Leistungssportzentrum Austria as a physiotherapist. And therefore, I'm always more than happy if Jakob calls me to... my voice is not yet fully here, to give insights to what I'm working on. So let's jump to the first. I'm just starting my timer here. Let's give an insight to what programmatic coaching is about. But because you're at the university, I also want to start with something inspirational. So shoot for the moon. Even if you miss it, you land among the stars. You probably have heard moonshot and the rocket. You have seen the rocket quite often, but maybe you never asked yourself why moonshot is so widely used in the US. And I'd like to give you a quick insight. Actually, the US was falling behind in the late 50s, falling behind the Soviet Union, nowadays Russia. And they were first bringing someone into the space. And so JF Kennedy was giving out the clear order in 61 to bring a person to the moon. And this was something the entire nation here in the US identifies themselves with the Moonshot project to become number one. And I think in innovation, it's quite often about setting a really ambitious goal, and then execute based on that. So I'm working on my third Moonshot project, and you will hear a little bit about myself later on. Worked with Google and with a few other cool companies where I learned a lot, and now I'm trying to apply this knowledge and experience for building a great company. Something which inspired me while I was about to build the third company was a book I was reading. And this guy, Andrew McAfee, is a professor at MIT. And he wrote a book where it's, in essence, the 4 pillars for successful companies. I really want you all to have a look into that because you will see in a second why this is so essential. What Andrew McAfee has investigated as a professor is the reasons why certain companies are so successful. And I just want to give you one snapshot. And this was actually mind-blowing for me when I've seen that. We are nowadays in Europe complaining quite often about falling behind. And you will see in a second that it's not just Europe. What Andrew McAfee has investigated is how innovative entire US is. And what he has found was, for me, a big surprise. I mean, I worked with Google and I may have assumed it, but what he is comparing in his book is, for example, how the 100 most valuable US companies were divided all over the continent. And what you see here in year 2002, the 100 most valuable US companies, General Electric, Johnson & Johnson, IBM, and on the West Coast, there was Microsoft, Intel, Cisco. And only 20 years later, and I'm sure the students in the room, we have year 2026 here. You were probably born right after 2002. The picture is a completely different one. So before clicking, the size of the bubble is giving the valuation, and the color of the scale here is giving the foundation. So the brighter, the older the company, the more dark blue, the newer the company. And if you take just 20 years later, and I'll repeat it, 20 years later, that's what happened. The entire rest of USA didn't evolve a lot while the West Coast has exploded. And what he's investigating in his book is exactly what actually distinguishes those companies on the left-hand side versus all the other companies. And you may see in this book that Europe behaves like the rest of US. So we need to learn from the West Coast, where I'm sitting right now. Berkeley is around the corner. I need to cross just the bridge to enter San Francisco. So what do those companies have in common? Yesterday evening, we had a dinner where the Anthropic headquarters was literally 100 meters away. So that's something which fascinates me, to learn from the best and then to apply it. I'd like to show you a video which is from '97. That's when I finished studies. I did my studies Wirtschaftsingenieurwesen, so in mechanical engineering and economics at the University of Graz, Technical University of Graz. So in '97, when I was finishing my studies, this commercial spot was rolled out by a guy called Steve Jobs.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So I really like this spot because it clearly shows it's always the outliers who are changing the world. And I'm trying to live up to that. And I'm not saying that Austria is not having enough entrepreneurs. So let me just try to get to the next slide. Sorry about that.
Here's to the crazy ones.
Some technical problems. Looks like I cannot get to the next slide. Let me just solve that. So, something about myself and my partner, Markus, who is sleeping right next door. I hope I'm not waking him up. Our conviction is that technology has the potential to radically improve human health. And our mission is programmatic coaching. My background is with Google, T-Mobile, Hutchison, Wamboa, the company Gentis, 123 Sonography. A few things were mentioned. I had the fortune that when I started with mobile operators, Max Mobil those days, which was taken over by T-Mobile later on, I was literally entering the industry when it was about to change to its data. Those days, we only had voice and SMS. You hardly can believe it. And so I was product manager internet in year 99 when I started working with the mobile operator. And this is the wave I'm riding in my entire career. And with AI, of course, I could not anticipate so many years ago. That's just completely fascinating. While it's a double-edged sword, so it's not just all good. Let me point that out very clearly. So what is programmatic. What does the word programmatic mean? And I brought it with me from another industry, which made Google very successful. This is programmatic advertising. So programmatic advertising is using a lot of signals, and I will not go down into the details, but programmatic advertising is dominating the advertising industry nowadays. So when I was born, there was just TV, radio, print advertising. There was no internet literally existing, at least not the World Wide Web, to be very explicit. And what we have seen is the entire advertising industry has flipped around, and it's nowadays dominated by online advertising. So the biggest revenue streams are coming from online. And we believe something similar will happen in the health industry. And therefore, we built our hypothesis 2.5 years ago when we started building Victory. And meanwhile, we have done already first investments. Michael Waldhofer, for example, very successful athlete, Kitzbühel winner of the famous Kitzbühel race, has invested into our company. Hanno Lipic, founder of Eversports. Several medical doctors working in sports, certain athletes. We do have a very close relationship with the ÖFB. Therefore, I'm also wearing today proudly the ÖFB t-shirt. So what are the problems in data-driven coaching? And the slide could be more or less replicated when I worked with Google, because we were working with all the leading Austrian companies. And I was also working in Germany with all the leading German companies. And the 2 points were exactly the same. So we have fragmented data silos, and we have a low data quality. And in addition, nowadays, we have a lack of trust in AI assistants. It's also a certain lack of technical capabilities, frankly speaking. So that's something we started working on, and what we have seen is that this wearable device, is it a ring, is it something on your wristband, is it a sport watch, is it a glucose sensor, is it also blood works, and all those data sources that you need to bring it into a so-called data lake, and that's what we started working on. Something we're telling nowadays to investors, and we're just about to start fundraising round, where we are aiming to raise 3 million in the next round, is that we see here in the US, for example, that an enormous amount of the GDP goes into the healthcare spending. So in the US, it's 17%. In Europe, on average, in the European Union, it's 10% of the gross domestic product is going into healthcare. There's only one part more expensive, which is the pension system. And if you compare the data, you will see that the US is spending 50% more in relation to Europe. By the way, Austria is spending around 12%, slightly behind Germany, spending 12.8% for the healthcare system of their GDP. And what we see that those costs will continue to rise, and it will increase the pressure to scale personalized and preventive strategies across the societies globally. And what we see is the US is leading, and that's the reason why we are right now just moving to the US. We're just establishing a company here, and we are doing a merger. I will share some more insights a little bit later in my presentation. And what I keep telling a lot of players in the healthcare system is that, a little bit provocative, that I believe that Apple Health may have done the greater progress in the most recent couple of years than all the politicians, all the healthcare stakeholders have done, just by building awareness about their body signals, and by also giving certain hints and tips in real time. And what we fundamentally believe is that the evolution of sports tech, combining all these data points and combining sports science, is the real catalyst driving transformation for healthcare, unlocking a great return of investments and opening numerous niches in this multi-trillion-dollar industry. By the way, healthcare is having a spending of 10 trillion US dollars per year. So that's a really big market. We are supposed to become a player in here. So what we do exactly, I already mentioned it, the best known. So combining all these data sources above and whatever is on the rise. We do see sweat sensors, lactate sensors, muscle sensors, glucose sensors, and a lot more sensors popping up. Salivia, Speichel sensor. And, we have a very successful company right now in Austria called BioLice, also very successful in the football industry, and I think we can play a lot of doppelbass here, double bass within Europe. It's not just always yes. What our solution contains is this open device platform, so we can combine, for example, the catapult data, which is the GPS data from the players, that we get the amount of sprints, the velocity, the max out sprints, and so on, with data coming from other devices, smart scales, bioimpedance analysis, data from maybe MyFitnessPal if someone has tracked data there, from a glucose sensor, put it into our AI technology platform where we are building intelligence, insights. And there was one phrase I've taken with me from Google, which says, data makes your suitcase heavy. That's a very old phrase, because those were the days where people were just using a suitcase for going to the office. So data makes only your suitcase heavy, while insights make you rich. So you better choose whether you want to just have data or you want to have insights. And what we're working on is that one coach can just treat more athletes. What we get told quite often in football is that even 30 people in a team, it's impossible to work with on a hyper personalized level. So technology has to help. The coaches can work with 30 athletes, but depending on the sports, if you take American football, a team is easily 80 athletes. So how do you work personalized with 80 athletes? That's something we want to solve. In order to have the bridge then to the healthcare system, we need to work with a lot more patients than we have players. So let me share the use case football to you. We are good in time. What we have nowadays, of course, that everyone is looking to what happens on the field. But let's face it, it's only 2 hours a day where you can have data from seeing them playing. And we have the data. We know that there is quite a lot of days where they do not spend more than 2 hours really training, while there are 11 hours beforehand and 11 hours afterhand. And that's what we say, football clubs, that we say the moment the training stops, that's when we start working. And right before the whistle of the kickoff is done, that's where we make data and where we want to add insights and recommendations. So we're working on this fully individualized coaching before the kickoff and after the final whistle. A real-world example of sports nutrition in football is the following. So on a match day, it's all very complicated. Sometimes they have to travel the day beforehand. So it's called MD minus 2, match day -2, MD -1, match day. So a lot happens in the 2 days beforehand. And you can imagine in a normal season, sometimes they play 3 times a week. So if the preparation starts always 2 days beforehand, you are literally just in matches and preparation for the next match. So a lot happens, a lot of static plans, and one-on-one sessions with players are nearly impossible. The body is still a black box of the players. And on match day, some players have too little energy available for a peak performance, and matches nowadays, they last 96, 97 minutes. And if you do not have enough carbo loading, for example, in minute 75, probably you run out of energy. So the consequences is exactly this: the performance loss, the increased risk of injury, and the longer return to play. Especially when an athlete is injured, it's even more important to adopt quickly the nutrition, for example. That's something we have found our sweet spot, that we're working on that. And I'm sure you all have seen the goal from Gregoritsch Michael Gregoridge. And when he celebrated his goal, he was showing right afterwards his fat fold of his belly. And this was a very weird celebration. And Rainer Bariasek from the Austrian broadcast has asked him, why the hell did you show your fat belly? And he said, well, I was using an app for optimizing my nutrition, and I was always making a picture before I started eating, and my teammates made fun out of me, but I just wanted to show that this made the goal and has shot us to the World Cup. And guess what? He was using our app for the preparation of this game. So how this works is we have a food logging, which is an image computer vision, and we just inscribe it directly into the macronutrients and give immediately response. So this is just one feature we have built into our platform to help athletes. And you will see a screenshot here on the left-hand side, which is on WhatsApp. Football players do not like to download apps and to run apps, but what they all can do is to send pictures over WhatsApp. And what we do is we just let them send it to our victory number, and we just send back to them a link to say what was on their plate. So that's what they love a lot working with Victory, that they just can use WhatsApp. Meanwhile, we have a few clubs we are very proud of in the German Bundesliga, also in Austria. We have two in Spain. We are present already in England and in Scotland. And this, of course, needs to raise further. But we're even more excited nowadays about our move coming to the US. So having said we're working with football, we are also working with triathlon, with personal trainers. We have a partnership with the German Trainer Association, with the Swiss Trainer Association. And we just have won an Olympic Center recently as a client. And there's much more to come, which is performance nutrition counseling. We have in the US literally a market of 75% obesity. So, I mean, three quarters of the US is suffering from obesity. The market couldn't be bigger. On average, the Americans are taking 17 cubes of sugar per day. So, and you can watch it each day, what that makes to the population here. So that's the goal we have set ourselves. In gray, it's where we are already. We are entering now the market. We are working on the BB2 Pro, which is more or less kids in the age of 10, 12, starting playing either football or doing any other sports towards the high performance professions, career-minded people. So that's a pretty big market. I just checked the time. And if you have any idea, listening to our keynotes today, if you have a great idea, if you're interested in our product services whatsoever, shoot me an email. My email address is klaus@victory.com. And we're more than delighted to hear from you. We believe in the talent out there, and whoever is interested to contribute is more than welcome, and we will listen very carefully. And we know that it's not just us having great ideas, but let me remind you what Andrew McAfee said. It's about execution. It's about using science, using data to run the company, being super fast, speed, which is the second one, the openness and the ownership. Those are the four pillars to run companies faster, more successful than the competition. And I'm finishing my speech with a video which will be rolled on site to have a better data quality. So giving over to Patrick, please just roll the video.
So yes, Klaus, thank you so much. I don't know if you really can see us here, but we just showed the video, and there was a big round of applause for you speaking live from San Francisco, coming from Austria, speaking live from San Francisco back to Austria. It's getting complicated, you see. We are super happy to have you, and thank you so much for sharing your vision and your ideas in here. So maybe we can leave Klaus on for a second. We have, of course, time for 1-2 questions. So is there any questions from the audience right now for Klaus's vision and what he aims to achieve with his company, Victory AI? I would have numerous ones, but there's someone?
Yeah, really exciting
presentation. Please take the microphone, because then also Klaus can hear you.
Always a good idea. I don't know if this is on, but really exciting presentation. Thank you. So 2 things struck me through this presentation. Yeah, one is the integration of data that comes from the different pieces of the puzzle, if you will. There are all kinds of sensors. And while you get data from individual sensors, there's a huge challenge in terms of integrating all of this data before you can get to any kind of outcome from this data, right? And it is a lot of, so I think one of the questions is, how would the integration piece fit into the vision? And the second piece, I think, is completely different between the US and Europe, is the policy and privacy aspects of this. In the US, there are few restrictions to such integration. The video in the end talked about Cigna, which means you're bringing in a third-party for-profit company that's going to get access to a family's data, right? So how does the policy piece and the integration piece fit into the vision is the broad question, I guess.
Yes. Well, thanks for the question. Indeed, the technical integration at the beginning was the main challenge. And it turned out that in year 26, it's not a big challenge anymore. And especially with cloud, a lot of you guys can just do it overnight. There is a certain standard called MCP. And I'm not saying that each of you guys can do it in 24 hours and it will run smoothly. But APIs are nowadays something which is a standard. There are a few players like Whoop who are very restrictive with giving access to the data. And even if you get access, you're not having all the incremental data. So Whoop, for example, is one of the most complicated. And I think they will fail miserably because they will fail like BlackBerry. I did a post recently about Whoop that they won't make it. They are not... They are not, from their philosophy, they are not right for the future. But overall, it was easier than expected, frankly speaking, when we started. We have seen a few hurdles, and what we wanted to make sure is, if you get a blood work analysis, a blood analysis, you quite often get it as a handout. It's printed, or you just get a PDF sent. So how do you get this data into the system? And we just wanted to make sure that you use your mobile phone, you just make a picture and you upload it, and unstructured data will be transformed into structured data. So technology helps a lot nowadays, and this was no hurdle at all. It's then more making sure that you really can make sense out of the data. Second, regulation, frankly speaking, unfortunately, always a word coming up in Europe, but less in the US. I mean, we have HIPAA compliance, HIPAA with a double A spelled at the end. So they also have regulation, and what they just made clear is the data needs to stay in the US. The same is true well, not unfortunately, it's not really true, because my former startup, Gentis, is a privacy tech startup. And what we have built is a privacy by design setup. So, for example, we run everything in Europe in the Ionos cloud in Germany, and we try to keep the data end to end in Europe, and to prove that. So for Ski Austria, this was very important at the beginning, also to make sure that an athlete, especially the female athletes, they are very concerned about their data, that not any person in a sports organization can see how they slept. There are certain biometric data they definitely do not want to share about their cycle and so on. we have factored that in. But it's never a showstopper. Frankly speaking, it's never a showstopper. It's weighted far too high in Europe, and we always believe, we shouldn't do it because it's too difficult. The opposite is true. Just keep innovating, and we are going via sports because sports is easier. And walk the dog. You always find solutions while you're engineering it, while you're working on it. I do not say ignore it completely, but the weighting needs to be lower. Europe is constantly talking about regulation, while US is doing innovation. And I think we're supposed to be on the innovative side.
Since the time is progressing, hey, Klaus, thank you so much. I specifically relate to what you said in the beginning or the video that you showed about this is to the crazy ones. Just recently, I was in a hiring process hearing, and I heard one comment about a candidate where it says, hey, this was a very chaotic presentation, and I thought exactly the opposite. I thought, hey, this is a very genius presentation because there's 10 ideas in one slide, and those kind of people we should listen to. So thank you too much for being one of this people around here, and thank you so much for giving us this early morning talk. So 4 a.m. in the morning in San Francisco. We expect you back in Austria at some point. We really want to invite you to St. Pölten, or you invite us to Vienna, whatever fits best, and discuss these things further, specifically when reaching to digital biomarkers and all this stuff, where we also have a strong R&D department doing this. We wish you all the best, I would say. Can we have another big round of applause, and then we relieve you to some sleep.
Well, thank you very much. Very kind of you.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Okay.
Cool shoes, Jakob. Cool shoes.
Hey, thank you so much. You didn't see me kicking the ball, right? So this is actually the highlight you should have mentioned. Okay, so right to the next talk. This is what build.well.being stands for. Without break, no hydration break, but later ice cream, as I said. It's a special honor for me to see Doris Kraushofer sitting somewhere there, joining me live on stage. Doris is an alumni of our degree program, Master Digital Healthcare. So give her a very warm round of applause. She's speaking about private hospitals and their role in designing the healthcare future. I'm sure you're best in explaining. We need a ticker for moving the slides. Yeah, and you most likely will talk about what I advertised on the website, which is driving digitalization and efficiency in healthcare organizations, and why specifically this is very important for private organizations.
Thank you. So, hello, my name is Doris, and I'm talking about private hospitals and their role in designing the healthcare future, and maybe a little bit about the present as well. So, who I am and why I'm talking about this. Basically, I'm a nurse. And after my first degree, I gather experience in risk management, patient safety, process management, and so on. And in 2015, I started my career at MaviMed, formerly Premica Med, in the private healthcare sector as a process and project manager. In 2022, I thought, okay, it has to be a little bit different, and I changed to Elga GmbH for 1 year, but then came back to MaviMed again. And now I'm team lead of IT product management at MaviMed, and I'm also board member of the Austrian Society for Nursing Informatics. So, talking about private healthcare, is it all about cherry picking? Do you know what I mean? So, some people think it's just about cherry picking. The private hospitals, they are just doing stuff that brings money. So, let's see. To answer this question, I want to give you a short overview of MaviMed. MaviMed is the biggest provider for private hospitals, and we are part of Mavi. Mavi is a holistic healthcare provider which offers several services in healthcare like telemedicine, health prevention with blood test kits for home, also long-term care, and so on. And we are Mavi-Med, a part of Mavi. So we are the largest, as I said. We have around 52,000 national and international inpatients per year, and over 4,000 births a year. I think that's kind of impressive. And we exist about 35 years and have over 800 beds. So to put that in, no, just I want to show you where we are. So we are all over in Austria. We have 2 hospitals in Vienna, 1 in Graz, in Salzburg, in Wörgl, and several outpatient services. And to put that all in a little perspective, we had to go through a few numbers. Did you know that 3.5 million people in Austria have a private health insurance? It's 38%, and it's increasing. And 2.2 of them pay for private ward treatment in private hospitals. And we have around 130 inpatients in private hospital. Maybe you remember around 52 just in the Mavi-Med hospitals. And around 14% of births in Vienna taken place in private clinics. And yeah, what's the difference? There are some legal parts. There is no statutory obligation to provide healthcare, and there is no obligation to provide services 24/7, and there is no funding through public tax money. But what does it mean for patients? There are significantly shorter waiting times. You maybe know waiting times in public hospitals for maybe knee or hip replacement are like weeks or maybe months. And in a private hospital, you can get it in a few days, maybe 1-2 weeks. So if private hospitals did not exist, waiting times for planned procedures in public hospitals would be much longer. So the private hospitals relieves the public. And there is a free choice of doctors, the so-called attending physicians. And usually patients are in the doctor's offices before they are in the hospital, so they know each other before. And the continuity of medical care. So the patient has just one physician and not several physicians of the ward. And of course, confidence services, but I think that we know. So what's now the contribution to the public health, and why is it important maybe for the future? The vice president of the Association of Private Hospitals says private hospitals are becoming more important for elective surgery. And even the city of Vienna was thinking about to ask the private hospitals for help to reduce the waiting times. And they were not just thinking about that, it happens. Last year in 25, we had over 500 patients in Vienna in the Privatklinik Konfraternität. And of course, they did not pay for the treatment. It was funded by the tax because they were supposed to be in the public hospital. And during COVID, we had around 1,700 patients from public hospitals. They were treated also in Mavi-Med hospitals. So private hospitals are not seen as a competition. It's rather complementary service. It's now, and it will be more in the future, we think. So private hospitals and innovation. So we are here on a digital healthcare event, so we need to talk about innovation a little bit. Yes, we also do innovation. The Privatklinik Döbling is always interested in investing at state-of-the-art medical technology. And last year they got Da Vinci. Has anyone ever heard about Da Vinci? Yes. It's an assisted robotic system for surgery, and they got the latest state-of-the-art Da Vinci. And it's the first and only private clinic in Austria. And the maybe biggest innovation and the biggest part for the future is the so-called Mavimed Hospital of the Future. So Mavimed is building a patient-friendly and sustainable hospital in the 8th district of Vienna, with around 120 beds and 80% of single rooms, and also daycare, outpatient service, a so-called one-stop shop for private medicine. And therefore, we have, I think, the biggest Excel sheet in the world with innovations. And now we are screening all those innovations. And we need to decide what we do in this hospital for the future. We have not so much time anymore because it should be opened in the end of 28. So what else? What else is important for designing healthcare in the future? You maybe know that number or have heard. Around 50% of digital transformation projects fail. Have you heard that? Anyone? No? Yeah, that's it. But why? Yes, why? So, mostly there is just technology without process redesigning, or there is no co-ownership, there is just IT or just business, and they're doing digital projects. Or there is no co-ownership or no key users or no enabling of all these projects. And now, what should we do? And why is it important? It is important because we need to meet expectations of patients, and the expectations are efficient processes and effective healthcare, and therefore we cannot afford that 50% of digital projects fail. So we are on the way to a holistic approach to implement software. What does it mean? It's a shared ownership of digital initiatives. It's a collaboration between all parts, like IT, business, management, and of course accessible software. And for me, the most important part is the development of digital skills and enable users. It is easy to buy technology and let it go. But it is more it's just important to enable users and make this technology work, because as I said before, we need efficient processes and effective healthcare, and I think we can only reach it with our digital transformation projects, and 50% of fail is just too much. So now you can decide private healthcare is not just about cherry picking. I think it's about being part of the whole healthcare system. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Doris, for your talk. I immediately, maybe you stay here for another minute. I immediately have a lot of questions in my mind, but first, is there any question from the audience for this? Because if no, I'd really like to. So one thing that comes to my chaotic mind is always like, I don't think that 50% of all digitalization projects fail, but maybe...
There was a study in 23.
50% of all projects fail in total.
Okay, yeah, maybe. But nowadays all projects have any digital aspect.
So now what's super interesting to me is actually that you're, as a private healthcare sector, much faster in innovating, of course, designing your own processes and structures than maybe maybe the
Yes, we try.
the governed healthcare system. So my question is there some private-public partnerships? So
Yes.
are they reaching out to your innovation? And
No.
is there some collaboration on the innovation itself?
No, not really. There is a public-private partnership. We have 2 health facilities as a public-private partnership, but it's more rehabilitation and prevention, and nothing with innovations and so on.
Hopefully more prevention and rehabilitation in the future, because that's specifically one of the big turning points of our healthcare system, that so much money and funding is going towards rehabilitation and not prevention. But we'll discuss this later. We'll see. Hey, thank you so much again for your talk. Big round of applause for Doris Kraushofer. And now we're coming to the pitches on the field. Some rapid-paced 5-minute pitches by students. And the first student team that we are going to see here on stage is Trinity Sync, the right information in the right hands instantly. And this project is being done by Susan Naimi, Mirna El Habak, Georg Günther, and is going to be presented by Armin Schlacher and Ines Meyer. So please give them a round of applause. Just a few seconds, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Armin, and together with Ines, I'm happy to introduce you to Trinity Sync, our solution to a problem that first responders face every single day. So imagine the scene. You're a first responder, paramedic, arriving on scene at an unconscious patient. You have your training, your equipment, everything, but you're missing a certain set of information that can really help the safety of the patient. You don't have any information if they have allergies that could potentially make your treatment deadly for the patient. You have no idea about the medication that the patient is already taking, and you don't know if you have to account for any underlying conditions that the patient has. So what is Trinity Sync and how are we trying to solve this issue? We developed a web application that is fed by general practitioners because the data that we are looking for is already available. But on scene, it's mostly paper-based, outdated, scattered around, so in reality, it's not available. But we're trying to provide a set of the trinity of information, medications, allergies, and pre-existing conditions for first responders. They can scan a QR code to get to the information that is already there. It is also secured by a one-time token, so not everyone can go around and scan the token. If you imagine the scene, one medic could already treat the patient while the other one gets the information in a very quick manner, and they can work informed and also in a much more safe way.
So let me guide you through the 6 steps of the Trinity Sync workflow. The general practitioner enters and maintains the data in the database, and each patient gets a unique QR code, which is placed typically somewhere accessible, for example, at the fridge. When an emergency is dispatched, a link is sent to the responding emergency team, and a one-time session token is issued. And at the scene, the paramedic scans the QR code, and the patient's trinity of data is visible. After a predefined period, the access token runs out automatically, ensuring patient data remains protected. But to give you a better understanding of Trinity Sync, we would like to show you our solution in practice.
So right now I'm dispatching so while the emergency is dispatched, this code is sent to my colleague. and she gets the code.
Yes, the emergency response team gets the code, and I can open a page where I can scan my QR code, as you can see here. Then I walk over to the fridge and scan this. Yes. And then you have an overview of the patient. You can see the key information like the name and the date of birth and the blood type, and of course the Trinity dataset. You can see the allergies, the medications, and the conditions. Additional data can be viewed with just one click on Show Details. You can see the associated reaction, and under medications, you can see the dosage, the prescription date, the prescribing physician, and you can also see if medications are currently active or it's temporarily paused. And you also have the pre-existing conditions. Here is flagged chronic conditions, and you can also put some more information here like surgeries. With Trinity Sync, you get a comprehensive overview about the patient's health status. So, why Trinity Sync works in the real world is because what it doesn't require. No actions from patients, no actions from relatives, no outdated paper forms. Data is always current because it's maintained by medical professionals, and it works on any smartphone. You don't need any special software or hardware. Because of the one-time token, it makes sure that data can only be browsed when you have a verified emergency. So you get the right information to the right people at the right time, because patient safety should always come first.
Behind Trinity Sync, we're a team of 5 people coming from the medical field and also technical field, and we're all driven by the same motivation that patient safety should never depend on whether information is available or not. For more information, visit us on our website, trinitysync.at, and also on our stand later on. Thank you.
So much for this very comprehensive presentation. Trinity Sync. Rapidly paced, we immediately come to the second students' talk pitch presentation done by a team around Maria Bruffa, Andrea Pecinka, Lisa Schalli, and Remind Me Because You Matter is presented by Aida Rada-Simay and Michael Griesenbacher. So, stage is yours.
Someone forgot his fridge.
I'm at work right now. My mother is alone at home. She's fit, but I'm worried about her. Did she take her medicine? Did she remember that today is a doctor's appointment? What if she falls and no one is there? What if she needs me but cannot reach me? I'm worried about her.
Hello. After watching this video, one single question remains. How can we support older adults without taking away their independence? Today, I'm in front of you together with Michael to present you our project, Remind Me, which develops a concept, an app concept, used on the smartwatch and on the smartphone, and combines 3 core functions: medication reminders, appointment reminders, and also an emergency function. Today, we are going to guide you through how it works.
Okay, like Aida already said, there are 3 core functions designed to improve the quality of life and strengthens the independency of the user. We have the medication reminder for all the important medication, the appointment reminder for the important appointments, and an emergency function so you can stay in touch with your relatives.
As you can see, the screen is very big. And now I'm asking you to do a role play. Let's say your grandfather or maybe your grandmother or your mother receives a notification on their smartwatch, medication time. If they are pressing the button yes, the notification disappears. If they press no several times or just one time, then it disappears. If they click it no several times or they just ignore the notification, the user of the smartphone app is going to receive a notification on their phone. This is what makes Remind Me unique. You give the users safety without checking all the time on them.
Like we already mentioned, we have emergency function on the smart watch. All time there is an emergency button displayed. You can either set it so you won't tap it and it's alerting, or you have to hold it for like 3 seconds. And if the emergency button is pressed from the user, the relative gets an alert or a phone call, even through the app or through a normal call. And so you can check and communicate what the problem is and solve it in the best case. This is our team. We are 5 people. Here you can see our contact email address, remindme@email.com. Feel free to contact us there. We are also outside at the tables.
Do you recognize this grandma? It's the same grandma from in the beginning, but now with a huge smile on her face because she already used Remind Me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much also for the second presentation, Remind Me, a smartphone-based app for reminding us all about the important things of life. Third student's pitch presentation before we get another and the last one expert talk on the stage. So the third project is around Clear Connect, where communication meets care. And we have on stage Veronika Ehrenberger and Angelina Schuber with her team, Tanja Elsner, Laurenz Engel, Ina Faltner and Benjamin Jungwirth.
So, hello everyone, good afternoon. Did you just understand anything? Probably not. We just saw a person with a hearing impairment going to the general practitioner's office, trying to communicate with the medical staff. And as you could see, that was not possible. And now imagine you being this person, being this patient, going to the doctor, and nobody's able to understand you. You're not able to communicate with each other. How would you feel in your treatment? How safe would you feel in your treatment?
What you just saw, that's not a rare exception. That's a regular Tuesday. That's what happens every single day across Austria when a deaf patient walks into a doctor's office and there's no way to truly communicate. There are 15,000 people in Austria that are deaf or hard of hearing, and around the world there are even up to 12 million people affected. And yet communication barriers still exist because only a limited number of interpreters are available, making access difficult and very expensive. This means that misunderstanding rate during the consultation is very high, which means that the healthcare fails deaf patients every single day.
But there is no communication tool. There is no common language which could be used. So just guessing, misunderstanding, and frustration in the end, on both sides, on the doctor's side and the patient sides. And this leads to misunderstanding on the one side, this leads to misdiagnosis, and in the end, to lost trust.
So we asked ourselves, what if we overcome this barrier? What if there was a solution that still respects the importance of the sign language, that support interactions instantly and reduce resource demands?
So what if a simple tablet, what if a simple app could become that bridge to communicate with each other, not by replacing the sign language or not by replacing sign language interpreters, but by giving clear information and clear communication between the doctor and the patient. Because accessible communication should be a standard in healthcare.
That's Clear Connect. It's a tablet-based app that the patient uses right there in the consultation. They select symptoms through icons, no spoken language, no German needed, no typing, so it's very easy. As you can see here, we have a few examples. The questions are shown in Austrian Sign Language GIFs, so the patient doesn't have to read everything. They can rate pain, describe emotions, all in a simple way that's visual, clear, and designed for the deaf patient.
But how does it actually work? How does it look like in practice? So as you can see on this picture, the doctor sits next to the patient and there is a computer and a tablet screen. So our app, Clear Connect, shows the doctor a structured summary of what the patient is communicating. And it also works the other way around, of course. So it is in real time, the communication, it is text and video based, and it's secure. And what's most important, the treatment for the first time is in whole privacy because nobody else is in contact during the consultation. And there is just a 4 eyes principle between the doctor and the patient.
And here's the thing, we didn't just design it for deaf patients, we designed it with deaf patients, together with sign language interpreters and general practitioners who use it in their everyday work. That's what makes Clear Connect different. That's how Clear Connect enables inclusive healthcare. So what can we achieve with this healthcare innovation? When communication finally works, we can achieve 3 major things. The doctor is able to understand the patient and can communicate with the patient, of course, and is for the first time able to do a good diagnosis. The second thing is that that the consultation runs much faster because there is less time lost to misunderstandings. And the patient, for the first time, the patient is able to go to the doctor's office and is able to communicate all by himself, and there is the most privacy given. That's just not convenience, that's dignity. That's what makes Clear Connect different. And that's what accessible, inclusive, and modern healthcare looks like. This is what gives the patient complete, full autonomy.
So let's build the future of inclusive healthcare together. We are at an exciting stage right now. That means our project team of 6 people and our supervisor. And we have a prototype built. You can see it, you could see it now here, and you can see it later on the stand, and we're happy if you visit us there. We have done a lot of research, and we have a design which is rooted in real user needs. So now we're looking for you. We don't want to be part of this 50% we heard in the presentation before. We don't want to get lost with our innovation. So we are looking for people or a partner who want to be part of this.
So if you work with or represent general practitioners, we'd love to co-develop and run a pilot. If you're in research, we'd love to validate with you. And if you're in a position where you can support us, we'd love to talk about how Clear Connect can scale.
Well, because communication or accessible communication shouldn't be a luxury. It should be a standard in healthcare.
That's Clear Connect, where communication meets care. Here you have our QR code, so for further information, find our website and see you outside, and very excited to talk with you about it. Thank you.
So thank you so much also to this students' pitch presentation. As we heard now multiple times, all of these projects, they have their own booth, I think, at the outside. So while you have a coffee or ice cream later on, then please also show your interest to the students and visit their booth. So now to our final experts talk, I would say. We have the title, From Laboratory to Home Measurements, Advances of AI-Based Motion Capturing, by our very own Bernhard Dumpart somewhere. He's already here. Hey, thank you so much. Bernhard is currently a junior researcher at the Center for Digital Health and Social Innovation. We are really, really proud. We just discussed in the morning that parts of what you do is already reaching out to industry, which is super important to universities and specifically to universities of applied sciences. So we are very much looking forward to your talk, and stage is yours, I would say.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome. My name is Bernhard. Thank you for the nice introduction, Jacob. I will be showing you today a little bit of our research in the Center for Digital Health and Social Innovations, as well as the advances of artificial intelligence-based motion capturing. But first, let me take a step back. I need to talk a little bit about movement analysis in general, why it is important. Movement can be an indicator for certain factors like quality of life, morbidity, mortality, and risk of falls. And therefore, it is important to track movement, especially in our older population. It is also important to track before and after interventions to understand if the intervention was helpful or not. Normally in the clinic or physical therapy, a physical therapist is just watching, subjective, because he's just watching a 2D perspective of the movement, and 5 different people might see 5 different things. And this is problematic. And here comes 3D motion capturing into play, because we can objectively quantify human movement. 3D motion capturing is our current gold standard in the community, and it is practiced in a specialized facility like we have here at the USTP. And as you can see here, the patient has all markers placed all over the body. This is important because with this we can capture the movement in the 3-dimensional space. You might know this from the film industry. They're using the same technology, how Shrek or Gollum is animated, for example. With those infrared cameras, we can track the movement of those markers and then create our biomechanical model in the background. Here you can see how this is looking in the software with the biomechanical model as an overlay. From this, we can calculate something like our joint angles, how our hip, our knee, our ankle is moving in the 3-dimensional space. This information is very important for clinicians because this information can change or reinforce clinical decisions in general. For example, in the orthopedic hospital Vienna Speising, they have one of the longest standing gait laboratory in Austria. They're using this like for 30 years now. And they have an interdisciplinary team and also different type of data. They make an X-ray, they make 3D motion capturing, they have EMG data, clinical information. And based on this and in an interdisciplinary team, they make the decision of an operation, of an intervention. And 3D motion capturing here is a very important part of it, because we can alter the treatment plans, we can reduce surgical interventions, and also describe more non-surgical interventions, which is always good. However, 3D motion capturing is mostly done in a very specialized facility, and this is also a big problem because we cannot go into your home and do measurements where you feel at ease, where you just move in your daily life. This is a big problem. Also, gait laboratories are very expensive. Our laboratory is in the range of 300,000 euros or something like that. And we need also a lot of time per patient. One patient takes like 1 hour or even more, depending on how much movement we're going to analyze. We have to place the markers, and everything takes a lot of time. We also need a very specialized team, because marker placement is not that easy. Markers have to be placed very accurately to get good data. The software is not so easy to use. Also, the post-processing and the data interpretation in the end needs to be done by professionals, obviously. And in the daily clinical life, 1 hour or more is mostly not feasible for a physical therapist or something like this, and this might be problematic. Also, as you can see, the child is very undressed, so this might also be very uncomfortable for some people because we have to place the marker all over the body. And this can hinder sometimes also the participation because children do sometimes what they want to do. They do not really walk like they walk maybe at home or in the field. And this could also change how we see the movement in general then. Altogether, we know from the literature and from our expertise that movement analysis in general is very important because we can change clinical decisions. So this is important, but we also know the limitations that everyone has to come into the facility. It takes a lot of time, it is uncomfortable, and these are the biggest limitations for us right now. So what if we can just take out a smartphone at home, do a movement analysis, send it to someone, and we get our data back? This has become possible, as you can see here, a video with 3 smartphones, but it also works with 2 smartphones. We can measure from sides just any movement, anywhere, at home, in the field, wherever you want. And as you can see, he also is clothed, so you don't have to unclothe for this, and it works pretty well. This is called OpenCap. It's a software from Stanford in America. What you need is 2 iPhones, a tablet or a laptop for your web application to use it. And you can just use those 2 iPhones, measure any movement you want. The videos are synchronized, and with the power of artificial intelligence, we get those markers we would normally place on the body, like literally instantly almost. And with this, we can then create our biomechanical models and get, for example, back the kinematic data or whatever we would like to measure. Why is this important? Because we can measure at home. OpenCap did a very cool study with a previous version of OpenCap where you only need 1 iPhone. They sent out the software into the population, and just with 1 iPhone, they measured at home the sit-to-stand test and got back 490 participants. This is the 5 times sit-to-stand test, so just standing up from a chair and sitting down as fast as possible. They filmed this at home, and the data was sent back to Stanford, and did their analysis there. They also captured patient-reported outcome measurements, so if you have osteoarthritis or not, demographical data, and also the mental health status for some statistical analysis. And one very important result from this study is they analyzed the maximal trunk lean angle while standing up, so how much you lean forward while standing up. And people with osteoarthritis have a larger trunk lean angle compared to people without osteoarthritis. And this could be already a very nice prevention screening tool to just take out the iPhone, measure your parents or your grandparents, and get a feeling of maybe they have osteoarthritis or not. What you can also see here are some outliers. So this was a citizen science study. The people might not have known that they already have osteoarthritis, and this also could have influenced those results a little bit. From this study, we took a lot of ideas and created our own study, which is called Access. It is a citizen science project here in Austria. And what are we currently doing? We have 12 physical therapists already. We gave them 2 smartphones each. They already have a laptop or tablet, and they are measuring data for us in the field where the patient is really moving. So the goal is to capture at least 10 individuals with knee osteoarthritis and 10 healthy individuals. And in the end, we would like to have a really large data set of 500 individuals, which would be really great. What are we capturing? We are also capturing the sit-to-stand test, obviously to compare it to the other study. We also captured a 40-meter walking test as well as the step-down test. Those tests are in the knee osteoarthritis literature, and because of that, we are just using it to get some data. We're also capturing patient-reported information, a lot of data we're getting from them, and in the end, we would like to create some cool results like the previous study. Unfortunately, I cannot show you any results because we are in the data capturing phase at the moment. So this is an ongoing work. Hopefully next year we can have some great results. Now to another study at the USTP here. We also have a project, markerless motion analysis in children with cerebral palsy. Why do we want to do this? Because you can see in this video, children with cerebral palsy have a very different way of walking compared to healthy individuals or healthy children in general. And we want to know if those markerless motion systems, those pose estimators, work also very well on children with cerebral palsy. Why is this important? Because most of the pose estimators are trained on healthy individuals, healthy adults. So children are obviously smaller, so we do not know how this performs on children. If it doesn't perform very well, our goal is also to create our own pose estimator trained on cerebral palsy patients to get a cerebral palsy pose estimator out there. Now the question is, do we even need 2 smartphones anymore? Because markerless motion analysis is currently a hot topic. There's a lot of development, and the answer to this is probably no. Here you can see that it is also possible with one iPhone, with one Android phone, to measure the movement in general. You can see that there's a shape around the body. This is a new technology we are also currently investigating, and we have compared this to OpenCap with 2 smartphones, and currently there is not much of difference. So the future will be probably with only one smartphone anymore, and everyone has a smartphone in their pocket and can start measuring biomechanics marker. So what we are also doing at the USTP is we would like to create our own markerless system so that we are a little bit different from America. In America, a lot of privacy is going on, and we do not want to send our data to America, so we try to create our own system here at the USTP. We are currently very far. Here you can see a little bit how this might look like in a clinic, where you just have your smartphone, measure the movement, and get markers over time. Our vision is a little bit that we can movement more accessible. In the population, we can track changes over time and to support clinical decisions by real-world data. Thank you very much for your attention. That's it.
Bernhard Dompa, thank you so much for this very inspiring talk on research. Again, is there any question from the audience right now? So we would have time for one question. I'm sure you participate later in the ice cream event, so that means sure. you can see him around anyway. One question I would have. So at some point of time, not mentioned here, but you're working also on clinical decision support systems, and that means some of your markers, I've heard, I don't know if it's true, rumor has it, that parts of the algorithms that you develop is also going to be incorporated in clinical software. Is this true? And can you give any valid statement on this at this point of time here?
Yeah, my PhD project is, at least of right now, incorporated in not a clinical company, but in a software from Canada. Yeah, because it works really well, and we are trying to get into contact with also the companies that are providing the markerless motion systems. But yeah, medical device regulation and everything makes this harder to do, of course.
Okay, so you see this is clinical research really moving into the wild or into the industry as it should happen. So this is applied research. Thank you so much for having this here. One more round of applause for Bernhard. So, and last but not least, the 2 more rapid pitches that we have, and I'm sure that Bernhard will like the next one here because it kind of envisions where this might go in the end. So we have Movivo, a new way of physiotherapy by a team around Lukas Reindl, Martin Ullmann, and it's going to be presented by Christian Keiblinger and Shahed Rajub. Am I correct, please? Rajub. Okay, thank you so much.
Rajub. Good afternoon. Last year, my wife was prescribed physiotherapy for her back pain, but she rarely did her exercises at home and dropped out of physiotherapy entirely ahead of time. Because she thought that it was not really helping to make things better. Well, when I asked her why she was not doing her exercises at home, she said it was a combination of lack of motivation and primarily missing feedback, because she didn't know if she was doing her exercises correctly. Well, she's not alone. Roughly 70% of physiotherapy patients drop out of physiotherapy early or ditch their home exercises, with missing feedback being one of the key factors for this dropout. And the patients get an average FMS score of around 11 points out of 21, which lands below the threshold of 14 points, which indicates an increased risk of injury. On the other hand, physiotherapists themselves drown in paperwork, with spending around a fifth of their work hours each week with session preparation and documentation. This is why we created Movivo, our all-in-one solution that bridges the gap between physiotherapists and patients, supporting the whole recovery journey, from patient admission to discharge.
Movivo provides real-time movement analysis and instant feedback, allowing physiotherapists to track the patient's execution of a deep squat and evaluating patient progress, identifying the areas that need extra focus, and designing treatment plans, supporting rehabilitation in both clinics and home-based care. Movivo leverages pulse estimation and automated FMS scoring. By using a camera attached to a smart mirror, it captures the sagittal and the frontal views and then saves and logs all those sessions in a database to create data-driven patients' reports. As we can see here in the background, this is our platform, Movivo, and it is actually designed for the ease of use for both physiotherapists and patients. And this is the physiotherapist point of view. And it allows, of course, the physiotherapist to check the appointments, to do a patient's admission, and check also patients' profiles, start the analysis later on, capture also the movement, and calculate FMS here score. And all of this actually done by translating complex metrics into a colorful and very clear, intuitive visual data. And this is why actually Movivo strips away the noise and allows us to focus on what truly matters, which is patients' health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you so much also for this presentation. So also Movivo you can see on the booth outside later. And coming to the last student's pitch presentation, it's Cost Compass, orientation for every sip. We heard this today already, nutrition data, really valuable. This is going to be presented by Jasmin Pfleger and Stefanie Wedam, and their team Nina Hubeni and Sabrina Macic.
Do you know this feeling? Do you know this feeling when you didn't swallow the right way? Well, for people with dysphagia, that's their normal life. They need to ask themselves, what if even a sip of water can be dangerous? Dysphagia can lead into coughing, drooling, and in case of that, malnutrition, social separation, because you don't know what can you eat and what is safe for you, or even what can you drink. Let's take a step back. What even is dysphagia? Dysphagia is the is a difficulty in the swallowing process. So as you can see on this picture, usually when you swallow something, it should end up into your stomach. But for people with dysphagia, it isn't that easy. It might end up into your lungs, and that is the risk of aspiration. So dysphagia can have different causes. For example, neurological, like after a stroke or Parkinson's disease. It can be because of a physical blockage, like a tumor, or muscular disorders, like muscle dystrophy. And what's helped is the right consistency. So the consistency matters. With the wrong consistency, it can increase the risk of aspiration. We have the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative, short IDSI. And IDSI has different levels, so we can say the patient what consistency they need.
Now, after learning why consistency matters for people with dysphagia, we'd like to introduce you to our solution, Cost Compass, guidance for every sip. Cost Compass is a mobile application designed to support patients with dysphagia when checking and assessing liquids. It is often very hard to say if a drink has the right consistency, and this can make drinking potentially unsafe. We want to provide a tool for real-time consistency analysis, and there will also be a section for information on dysphagia and a diary function. We currently focus on liquids, but in the future our concept could be expanded to meal-related assessments as well. The workflow is simple and requires only a smartphone and our holder. First, you place the phone into the stand, as you can see here, and the syringe filled with the test liquid is positioned above a collection cup. Step 1, scan. So the user is starting the test on the app. Step 2, analyze. The liquid is flowing out of the syringe for 10 seconds. The phone will document the process, and after exactly 10 seconds will capture an image. Step 3, get your result. Based on the remaining liquid in the syringe, the phone will classify the consistency of the drink according to the IDSI's framework, for example, like thin, mildly thick, or thick. This provides a fast and standardized test directly on your phone. Cost Compass is designed to support people across different care settings. In hospitals, it supports healthcare professionals when doing assessments. In nursing homes, it will support caregivers and nursing staff when preparing safe drinks. But most importantly, at home, it will support patients and their family members in managing dysphagia more confidently in their daily lives. This is what the app looks like on your phone, and we want to make a step towards making dysphagia management more accessible, understandable, and patient-centered. If you would like to learn more about our project, please come by to our table later and see the whole product, or scan the QR code. It will lead you to our university project page for further information and updates. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much also to the team of Cost Compass. So as you can see, I'm really impressed each year and also by the increased quality on the presentations that the students do in here and the amount of work they put in. I get asked this question a lot, so what is interdisciplinarity? If you ask me personally, is it just letting loose people from very different fields on each other and just make them innovate by talking to each other, by prototyping each other? So, I think the Students Project pitch presentations is a really good format of showcasing where the future of digital health and social care is going. I promised ice cream, but before that, there's a last point on our, I think, agenda, and I think we can already start arranging the stage here. We also want to take this into a kind of a panel discussion with a few experts that we have around in the house here, and I'm going to explain what this is about. So we in digital assistants and companions, we ask ourselves, are assistants and robots coming to care? So this is really some question that aroused the last months when we are currently designing R&D projects that involve robot functioning with physical response. I think you can already start arranging the seats. But let me have the panelists here and also the moderator, which is not me. So we have Anita Kiedrich first, who is the academic director of our Citizen Center Digital Health and Social Care Masters. So thank you so much for coming. Anita, by her profession, is a physiotherapist. I'm sure she can relate, and it's also heavily into new forms of therapy and treatment. Then we have already one of our key experts that we had on stage here, Bernhard Dumpert, again, junior researcher at the Center for Digital Health and Social Innovation. Third one in the room, I haven't seen him today, is Christian Jandl. Yes, yeah, from the shades to the light. So, Christian is, by the way, your research group lead at the Institute for Creative Media Technologies. We are currently designing heavy humanoid-driven robotic projects and ask ourselves, is functioning the only thing that robotics need, or also psychosocial contracting? And maybe we'll get an answer to this, we don't know. And the last person on stage is our moderator of the session, actually, Andreas Jackel. He's the Deputy Director of the Master Digital Healthcare. Thank you so much for taking over, and stage is yours.
Well, hello, welcome. So I like that we can sit, so this is quite relaxed. Even feels like a campsite fire with the heat in here. So happy that you all could come. So you directly from Greece, as far as I remember, and you came from teaching and from conferences previously and so on. So happy to have you all here. The question is up there, so assistants and agents in digital health, are they coming? So I think the question is maybe not really are they coming, but much rather kind of saying they're already here. So we have so many apps, measuring systems, or any kind of other systems that help us in digital healthcare. The question is rather, what should those systems do, and how can they actually help us to make care better? And the other question is also, who benefits from those kind of solutions? So is it really the patients, or is it the caregivers? Or if we have a robot in a clinic, is it really about saving money and having less people that you need to pay? So that's what we should maybe or could discuss today, unless you have other ideas. This would be what I would have prepared. So I would just start with first question. So you all know the question from the panel. So are robots and assistants coming to care? What do you think? Yes, no, or maybe? So kind of only if there's some issue. So yeah, maybe let's start with Anita, because you already have the first microphone.
So yes, of course. So there are robots needed in care, and assistance is needed in care. So for example, we've had the Remind Me project today presented. That is a nice example that how this can merge both sides. The communication assisting as well, not only the person in need, but also their relatives and families. And also there could be for emergency services, for example, the companion, or for community services, the caring AI.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, a lot of systems. So cool that we actually heard so many systems today that relate to this too. So Bernhard, what do you think? So I think we just stay with one microphone and keep it going.
Yeah, I'm not that much in care, but from a gait perspective, I know that there are already gait trainers out there, and maybe this is something that will come a little bit more, that they remove the weight of the patient and really just walk with them, so that they relearn or can just walk again. So this is something I can think of, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Christian, what about you?
Okay, so Andy, what was the question already?
So do you think those will come, assistants and robots to care? Yes, no, or maybe?
Okay, yes, of course, they will, but I would say it depends, because we will not have in the next years robots that are a total assistant for us, that does everything we want to. So that's actually all fake and done by teleporters, teleworkers. So they do the task in VR and with the cameras from the robot, and the robot makes it in the area where it is. So this is actually not working, and this will really take time that it works. But if you listen to experts and look in the literature, then you see up to 10 years. It's really feasible that we all have robots at home, like we actually have handies or vacuum cleaning robots. So I think we will all see it in 10 years.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Okay, maybe once you got it back. Anita, you're strongly working in interprofessional care. So, and of course, kind of robots and assistants are a lot about communication. So how do you think can communication influence care when we talk about assistants and robots?
Yeah, it helps us to give information. So this was also in the keynote, that information is the key. And when we communicate via technology, we enrich the information pathways. So just for example, you mentioned the robot vacuum cleaner at home. So in the research project we have in-house, the Smart Companion, this is an opportunity to have a fault detection and give this information, communicate through the system if another option is not available at that moment.
I like that you chose Smart Companion as the example. So we spent a lot of time analyzing the communication, what the robot should say, and how to react if people don't say what the robot expects. So this was actually the main part of the work. So yeah, there'll be a lot of work to take care of the communication. But I'm not going to ask you all the same question all the time, because then Christian would forget as the last one if we always go in this direction. So for you, you're not yet working with robots at home, but you're taking measurements home. So do you think this will have an impact in care as well?
Yeah, I hope so, yeah, because the goal is to get the activities of daily living a little bit better for those patients, I would say. So if they can get up again on their own, walk around on their own, this would improve definitely their life. So I hope we can take measures into our hands and make this better with just one smartphone or whatever is needed then, yeah.
Yeah, true. We all get better smartphones and better wearables all the time, so yeah, would be time to use them.
Sure.
True. Christian, you already mentioned before that kind of most of what we see with robotics is still fake. So coming back to what you said before, is this now just also in care? Is it the same, or what is the hype, or what could be realistic that we do in care?
I wouldn't say it's fake, because it works. But what works is the mechanical side. And so the hardware works already, with, of course, some issues with batteries, overheating and stuff like this. That's things every actual robots have. Yeah, what's the big point there is the context awareness. So if you can't train a robot that it works in this room, where the dish is, where the laundry is, and so always you have a laboratory. But when you go outside and every flat looks different, every house is different, then it gets complex. And that's where you need to fake actually, because you cannot train it. It takes really a long time to train it, that the robot doesn't fall down or things like that. So another issue why I don't see that this will happen very fast is that it's a security problem. So if the robot falls, or in worst case, the robot falls on a lying person, so they're really heavy, they have 80 kilos, 60 kilos, so you have their safety issues as well. So to be honest, I don't believe that robots will come first to our homes and then in the industrial production, so I think it's the other way around.
It could be, even though, of course, everyone, I guess, would like to have a robot that does the laundry and dish cleaning, but seems like we have to wait for it. Perfect, thank you. So, Anita, before we talk about or continue talking about problems that we want to solve, so it's also about how to solve them or finding problems to solve. So in care, what is actually the really bottleneck that we have? So is it that we have not enough time, not enough money, not enough staff? What could we actually solve with robotics and assistance?
Well, the bottleneck is information, as I said before. So what we can solve and improve is health literacy or digital literacy or navigation literacy. It depends on what we want to focus on, and also sharing decisions. And that will help to empower the citizen.
But how could then a robot help in literacy, for example?
Well, it depends on how you define a robot, but if you use voice assistants, for example, that would also, like using Alexa or other tools, then we could already have support, and that could be placed on a robot. So yeah, I'm just talking of voice assistants, by providing information or having a robot give information in other ways. It's not only audio information.
Yeah, true. So robot is often just a voice assistant on legs, so kind of, yeah, that is already the best part of it and can help people a lot. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Bernhard, so if we now say that measurements can come to home, so if you talk about the potential of robotics and assistance in care, so what kind of use cases do you envision that such systems could solve?
I think because the gate laboratories right now are not that much in Austria, for example, or in other parts of Europe, people have to travel long distances, like 2 hours or something like that, to just an appointment. And if the measurement could be done at home, this could be very beneficial for the family, for the children, for everyone. So I think if we can get accurate data at home or in the field, at least somewhere outside, this would be very beneficial for the clinicians. So also that they do not have to make the analysis themselves and just look at the data and then make decisions based on this. So could improve some ways, but also increase other workload. So yeah.
Okay, so it would make kind of collecting and analyzing data easier because you get more data, which is
more
workload,
yeah.
but of course it would help individuals a lot. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Chris, so for your thought about, so if we talk about care robots, then if you tell this to somebody, everyone thinks about robots that actually lift people and reposition people. But in the RoboWert proposal that you just submitted, which is about robotics, a really big research proposal, it was more about home care companion, and a lot of the content was about trust and also about interaction. So what is now the minimum that you think a robot needs to do to be useful for care?
What do you exactly mean with useful? So useful can be anything that helps to make living better, I would say. And as mentioned before, a robot or a humanoid robot or a system will not solve all problems and cannot replace a real person. So that's very far away from. But if it assists us, like in heavy tasks we have to fulfill, or in little small things, or just keep on talking, or remember us to do something, or stand up and walk around maybe. So everything can help. But I'm a big fan of it, to starting low and get better and get real things done than rather talking about the perfect robot one that fits all needs. So of course, in this vision, a robot will 100% replace another person, and that's where we should look, that it not comes like that, because then we are living all with robots at home and not with real people. So that's not the way I would like to have it. But I'm sure there are tasks at home. Just think about feeding the cat, doing the dishes, or something like that. That all could be feasible. Yeah.
Yeah, true. So like the concept that we don't think about only the general purpose robot that can do everything, but really start with small systems like vacuum cleaning robots, lawn mowing robots, and maybe then some dish sorting robot in the future as well, but then it won't be just a generic robot that can do everything for care for people to help them, but just one specific task.
Well, it will grow. Definitely, because actually we have these vacuum cleaners at home. Everybody accepts it because they do useful things we don't like to do, and nobody can say, okay, why I don't want humanoid robots because of privacy. We have these vacuum cleaners with cameras in our homes, so we have a smartphone. We all already have no privacy. That's the point.
That's a good point to remember too. I like the strong opinions. Perfect. Maybe to Bernhard, next question is also about kind of the trust issue that you now brought up and mentioned. So there's always this decision, do I test a lot and make the system perfect and then deploy it, but we might miss helping people in the meantime in the years until we have it perfect? Or do we take more the American way of just doing it and not really caring about privacy and ethical things? So where do you think should be the line? How long should we test until we do something? What do you think, especially with the measurements that you take, how long to make it a medical product?
Yeah, I can only talk about my PhD project where we developed an algorithm in the orthopedic hospital Wiener Speising together with them. And Andreas, which is the head there, also had a lot of trust issues at the beginning. but then he tested it himself with his team in the daily clinical activity, tested it for 1 month, also created a bachelor thesis with it. And afterwards, he was very impressed and started using it in his daily activities. So I think it needs still some kind of trust, because all the clinicians, or the older clinicians, do not trust artificial intelligence that much probably, and they need some kind of trust into the product, and it comes with testing, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so testing is still required, but sure, yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you. For Anita, so also about the trust. So when we talk about the care robots, what does trust actually mean in your opinion? Is it then really that I trust the robots like I would trust a person, or is it about the robot being reliable and explainable?
Yes, it's about information that a robot is providing. Is it a decision or an outcome? We need to understand it, so it should be explainable, absolutely. And therefore, we need framework regulations and data ethics to have some guidelines. What is a trustworthy solution? Because that is still lacking in. We also saw it in the presentation, but also in the literature, this is quite evident. Yeah, and that also means that we need a good education of our professionals, as we do it in our programs.
So education would also help for the trust, right?
Yes, of the users as well as of the professionals.
So you would need to educate both sides, so the users of the robots and assistants, and also the ones that are the other side that get the measurements, that control or that program the robot actually.
Yeah, that's why the literacy is needed also in the general population.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So to Christian, so AI can be biased, as we know, and robots. So they have got the training, and then it's kind of possible that they make a wrong decision or behave not appropriately in a care situation. So who is then actually responsible for deciding how a robot acts, or if it doesn't act correctly, who is to blame? Is it the user because the user said something wrong, or is it the caregiver? Is it the manufacturer? How do we deal with those issues? I saved the heavy questions for now. When you're in the flow.
We will have one. Yes. No, so I'm not an AI expert, and I'm no expert in who is responsible for that or this, but as when you see it in autonomous driving, maybe the driver in Austria or in Europe is still responsible. So, and that's what I would also say when I work with robots. So I have to give them tasks what to do, and I have, and yeah, it's like a tool for me. I say this tool to the tool, do something for me, and if it's done wrong, I wouldn't call it blame or responsible. So, but the first question is, what happened? Does just a bad answer that's not correct, or is it just or is really accident that happens through this false process? So that's what I would say made first in risk analysis. You can say if someone can die, of course, then it's a big problem, of course, and that's the thing that never should happen. And but I believe that we can build safe systems, and we already did in the past. But we only do that because we take care, and that's how we should proceed. So, of course, every new technology has problems, has the possibility that something goes wrong, of course. But yeah, if we engineer it like we do it actually, yeah, things may happen, of course. We cannot see all problems that will arise, but at least we, engineers with care, I would say, especially in Europe.
So, yeah, and you cannot always just start with what can go wrong, but also what can go right. So
you need to take this into your decisions and make it as safe as it's possible at this state, and then it should work out for, I don't know, 90%. But what we actually see in the industrial sector, that a lot of people there try to bring the robots in bad situations, so they really have fun with that. So that's the other way around. We need also talk about. So take care of the robots.
True that. We also hear often that humans are to blame. So maybe for Bernhard, then the next question. So you also talked about measurements at home, so that people can measure themselves. And you already mentioned before that this could mean more work for clinicians. Doesn't this also make us kind of that we always get measured all the time, so that we get the glass patients where doctors know everything about us? Do we actually want this?
I think we all, or most of us, have a watch around, so we are measuring ourselves all the time with all the smartphones. It depends on the person, I would say. I like it to have some information about my heart rate variability, if they are accurate or not. Yeah, hopefully they get better, and I think everyone has to decide for themselves how much tracking they want on their body, on all their parameters. So yeah, but measuring all the time could be also a good option, but definitely not for everyone. Yeah.
True. Okay, so it's for us to decide a bit of how much tracking we want and how many.
I hope so that this is still possible. Yeah.
Okay. So Anita, what do you think? So when we have now, as we heard, a lot more tracking possibilities, assistants coming, maybe even robots coming to care in the future. So what do you think about the people who are then left out because they lack the digital literacy? What if they lack the financial means to get those systems? How can we make sure that they are still included in the care system in the future?
Yeah, so we need solutions on the policy level, that there is equity-driven consideration of who has access and how. And we also need to make sure that it's a reflexive process and still is in relation between humans. So considering the process of the interaction between the robot and the person in need. So there may be different target groups who have specific needs that may not be considered if we do not take their perspective. So that's what I mean with equity-driven, that we also consider people from minorities, that we may not have the same amount of data, just thinking of gender perspectives, but there are several more inequalities. We need to consider that also on the policy level and when it's about payment systems, as you mentioned that one.
So the policy prevents this from happening as much as possible, and we don't discover it when it's too late already.
Maybe, yes. It may be that then those people are left out who cannot afford the system. Poverty is an issue in Austria, definitely.
Okay. Thank you. So maybe the next question, which I like a lot, because it's when we talk about robots, it's often about having a human in the loop, because this sounds reassuring that there is some human that controls the decision, and the robot or assistant doesn't make a judgment about you or a diagnosis without a human actually doing it. When we say human in the loop for assistants and robots in care, who would this human be in the loop? So is it the person itself who decides? Is it the caregiver? Is it some company? Who would be this human in the loop in robotics and assistance in care? Does any one of you have an opinion?
I can start. So the users, they are the patients and their families, and there are the professionals as the providers, or industry as a provider. So we need both sides, two perspectives.
But then if the AI takes a decision or gives you a recommendation, we cannot always have all the three people, so the patients themselves, the relatives, and the clinicians all say, yes, this is good, this is good, this is good, and then the AI tells you the decision. So how can we make this more efficient, or how can this process of decision-making go in care when a robot needs to make decisions?
Why not? Shared decision-making is about including multiple professional views or industry and providing that, and the service user's perspective who is in healthcare. So I would say there should be a solution, and technology is enabling us to have this information faster via distance. So, and then with AI, digesting the information even faster. But of course, it has to be sensitively dealt with if it's about personal information. Yes.
Cool. Thank you. Any other perspectives about humans in the loop?
Yeah, when you say human in the loop, I just had an interesting thought. So every time I get up in the morning and take my coffee and go to the desktop and write my mails and look up what I do today, every time, I really say it's every time, the robot comes and drives around me and cleans around me, and I always thinking, why actually in this time here? So I would love to say, please go away and come back 10 minutes later. So, but it's not possible. It's because it doesn't react on that. Yeah, I could open an app, I could say not now here, and this takes me 5 minutes, and that's also annoying. So I would have liked to have the chance to do that, to say to the robot, please leave this room and go to the other room and come back when I'm outside. So there's no human in the loop. So the robot, the vacuum cleaner does what he likes to do. So and from this perspective, that's not a good showcase where the human in the loop is really took care of it. So, and yeah, it should always be the possibility to say stop, to say no, to say immediately stop. So just like when you work with children, then you say, we have this one word, and when I say this word, everything is fine. You have to stop. So that also what the robots need. So, and hopefully the providers or the companies that produces them do not have this button where they say stop. So because then they could every time stop when I do not pay for it or something like that. So yeah. That's what I definitely think that in engineering, in German word for it, this is a Notaus. You push the button and everything stops. And I think that would definitely be a good idea to have that.
Yeah, true. I mean, in Smart Companion, David built a function that you can say schleich die, so go away, and the robot would go away. So we have it already, but only in Smart Companion.
Maybe you could update my vacuum cleaner for that.
So maybe back to Anita. So in the Remind Me app that we saw before, it was about people caring about the parents and reminding them about medication and so on. But in the end, we often see that people don't want this kind of control because they want to have autonomy, they want to not be a burden to somebody else. So often kind of also this emergency wristlets, it's the relatives who buy it and not the persons themselves because they feel like somebody is supervising them or somebody is kind of surveilling them. So what do you think if we talk about assistants and robots, then this will get even more personal. There will always be systems around you. So how do we manage this fine line between surveillance and help when we talk about assistance and care?
So you want me to answer the how now in one sentence?
Yes, can also be two.
But of course, it's all about autonomy. So the systems make the person in the health need more autonomous. And it's not only for the relative who also wishes to support. So I would say they can accept it if the supervision is in the correct time and dose. So just imagine yourself if there would be a robot always nudging on you, you may be annoyed. And if it does not come when you call it, it would not be perfect either. So it's really about having the good amount of it. So the how is very individual. I'm sorry.
Well, it would have been perfect if you would have just given this one short answer, but I thought it was impossible. Yes.
But that's exactly why
in
the Remind Me, for example, there is an application for the relative who can place the settings, and maybe there's a technician in the background who could adjust the system depending on the need. So if we have a solution that we cannot adjust ourselves, we may not keep using it.
True. Thank you. Was as good as it can be, I think. Perfect. Yeah, so I think we're already coming to the end slowly. So just a final round of questions. So kind of I chose a rather classical one. What if we would meet again in 5 years? What kind of robot would you see is already helping in care? So whoever would like to start, maybe Bernhard, because you would be the next. If you can already think of something.
Yeah, maybe some assisted walking robot that walks around with the person in the care so that they can still go around outside and something like that.
So they have something to lean on and that kind of guides them through and...
No, like an exoskeleton that they themselves can walk, but futuristic.
Yeah, true, but we know that exoskeletons work already, so could be that this gets easier in the future. Cool. Any other ideas what we could have in 5 years?
What we could have in 5 years, or what I would like to have in 5 years is if I don't have to come here, so I can send my robot there and talk to you. And if this works out, I would done my job very well, I would say. But yeah, to be honest, it's just a dream. But I think that we will see a lot of things that working then, because and are the smart things, like are the small things, and not that the big solutions. We will not have the big solutions there, but we will have some things that work better. Like a vacuum cleaner does some more things, like he actually does in your projects. Humanoids maybe assist you at home in doing the dishes, something like that, or the laundry. But it will not be perfect. It will not be that what you say. It's a very helpful person. In 5 years, I would say it's just a gimmick. And because this will take time.
Okay, perfect.
I would definitely go with your idea of also assisting people that need physical support. I think that's the barrier we still have, that people with high impairment or, for example, hypertension due to neurological diseases, they need human touch. So we will always need that one, but nevertheless we could improve the systems to be more adaptable and even more humanoid. Let's see. And what I would really like to see in 5 years is a responsible and sustainable use of these technologies. So not it's not working anymore, and all the valuable materials inside are somewhere, even digged in earth. I don't know, again, where they come from, but that we really think of having a repetitious use of rare materials and considering who needs this and what for, and not just distributing it without a specific purpose.
Mm-hmm. That's also good. So about the cyclic economy and reusing parts or recycling. So not just thinking about putting another piece of technology out there, but kind of thinking what happens next afterwards. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so thank you. So with this, let's think about what comes next here. I guess it's the ice cream that Jacob already mentioned.
Yes, let me have a final. So thank you so much to our panelists for the discussion. And I think your final statement, what comes next, we all don't know, let's design it. So I like this idea, and specifically, Chris, citing you, like engineering with care, I like this. I would make this my new project title. Just with one thing, I really disagree. As a father of 3, which you are, I'm sure whenever you use the word stop, it never works. So it's the same with robotics as with children, at least I learned. Basically before coming to ice cream and our catering and everything else, let me just thank a few people. So in the back we have Patrick Engel, who's doing our audio video live streaming back and forth from San Francisco to Austria, and so please give him a big round of applause. Then there is Silvia Schleifer, you know, the lady with the nice dress. Thank you so much for organizing this in the background with. I think she just snaps with her finger and everything works. It's really like this. And also to our dear Sabine, thank you so much for actually administering, helping us out with our second and third brains, and also for doing this. And thank you so much in the end also for the people on the live stream. If you're still there, hello, and to the people in here. All of you are now relieved in the second, and you can go out and have a coffee, ice cream, or whatever you wish for. The panelists have to stay here because we need a picture. Not because you didn't do your thing great. So thank you so much and have a good afternoon. Machen wir nur schnell ein Foto. Und wir brauchen die Doris Kraushofer noch, falls sie noch da ist, und Bernhard Dompat. Der ist da. Genau, und vielleicht haben wir